Hello and welcome to another episode of Work 2.0, the podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Wells, and this is where we talk about AI, power, and the future of work. Now, today I'm sitting across, the virtual table from me is Denis Machuel. He is the CEO of Adecco Group, the workforce solutions provider, one of the largest global workforce solutions providers. And the reason I'm sitting across from him today is because today they have released a new report. It's the 2026 Business Leaders Report, and it's based on a survey of 2,000 C-suite leaders across 13 countries. The reason why this report is so significant is, for me, it's highlighting that there is, as much as there's so much hype about AI and implementing it into the workforce, there is a workplace readiness gap. And this is a big problem. There is a disconnect. And so I'm here to discuss these findings from the report with Denis and to see what this entails for leaders and managers and professionals as we seek to move forward in the AI era. Welcome, Denis, to the show.
Hi, Rachel. Very, very happy to be with you today.
Absolutely. So let's get into it then. We've got a lot of ground to cover. So I want to get straight into my first question, which is one of the things that was raised, one of the key points raised in the report is the number of future-ready organizations since Future Ready was last measured in 2025 has fallen by 4 percentage points. And by Future Ready, I understand the report refers to organizations that have these 4 characteristics. So they invest in leadership development, there's formal workforce upskilling happening, there's internal mobility initiatives, and also AI being used in decision making and strategy. But the number you said has fallen by 4 percentage points. Why do you think that is?
Thank you, Rachel. I think that's amazing. What happens today is that many organizations that have done AI experimentation so far are now moving from pilots into enterprise-wide implementation, right? And it's easy to do pilots, and we've heard a lot of companies pilots, but are having a difficulty to scale them. And leaders are now discovering that scaling all these pilots is not easy. And the reality of the business way work is organized at scale is much more complex than what the initial hype had suggested. So what we discover now in many companies is that, well, actually, it's not technology which is the problem. Okay, it's how adoption is how leaders align people, skills, and trust together with that transformation at the right speed. And this is why there's this disconnect. And the organizations that are really treating AI transformation both as a challenge but also as a leadership challenge, the companies that invest equally into technology and in people, in workforce adaptability, in skills development, those are that take AI and want to scale AI only through investment in tech are lagging behind now.
Right. So your approach suggests that it's really holistic. It's not just a matter of investing in technology. And because organizations started with that mindset, they weren't seeing the bigger picture, and they became a little bit too optimistic. So now we're seeing it's a matter of upskilling, it's a matter of building trust. There's other things than just the technology itself. That's pretty interesting. You mentioned in the report, it highlighted that 1/3 of executives, or 1/3 of the leaders that you surveyed, say that their talent strategy clearly demonstrates that AI will create opportunities for workers. Now, we know, given the fact that AI is often used as a scapegoat for layoffs, whether that's true or not, but being as AI is often connected and linked with layoffs, and we're seeing here that only 1/3 say that the talent strategy clearly demonstrates AI will create opportunities for workers. What's the feeling that's being created amongst workers? Aren't they feeling a sense of distrust because wouldn't it slow down AI adoption because they're feeling a sense of distrust that AI is actually taking their jobs?
Well, actually, there's a lot of speculation around the impact on AI on the market. Okay, and we got to look at the facts. Okay, and we are the world leader in career transition services, which means we manage a lot of the layoff plans that our clients are doing. And of course, we ask the people that have been laid off whether they've been replaced by AI. And 3 months ago, only 1% of people were telling us they had been replaced by AI. Okay, so it's true. It's easy for a company to say that they are laying off thanks to productivity linked to AI, but that's not the reality. The reality is most companies do the normal adjustments in the workforce that they've already done. Okay, and those are the facts. Okay, now what we know is any general purpose technology that has happened in the past has created more jobs than it has destroyed. And there's this World Economic Forum study that says that by 2030, the net new jobs created are going to be in the order of 78 millions. And there's no reason why this wouldn't happen with AI.
Right.
Of course, because AI creates another level of complexity that needs people to deal with. Okay, so as all technology that have come, automation will come in, but you need people to do different things. Think about 10 or 15 years ago, nobody was talking about cloud architects. Now cloud architects are numerous, right? Content moderation for social network. This has been brought by digital. So there's going to be so many things that are going to be created, new roles, new jobs. And so, which is why, again, what is very important, and back to the study that we issued, it's all about how do we engage with the workers, how do we create trust and make sure as we develop the dialogue with the people, as leaders develop the proper dialogue with the people, that AI doesn't happen to people, that it happens with people. That's also how you can scale AI efficiently, because you bring people along.
I can definitely see where that makes sense. Because when people feel like they're left in the dark, they end up losing that sense of trust and connection to leadership, and then they start suspecting things, and especially when they're in the dark about layoffs. So going back to what you mentioned, so therefore, if you're saying AI should be, with people, not replacing people so much, as opposed to actually being used to support them. If we're saying, based on the report, that only 1/3 of executives agree that their talent strategy clearly demonstrates how AI will create opportunities for workers, therefore, I guess employees are being left in the dark about what's happening in their organization, because there's nothing clear, there's no direct talent strategy around it. And so employees are naturally thinking, could I be laid off? You know what I mean? So obviously, that's definitely the onus is on leadership to ensure their talent strategy demonstrates that, right?
Absolutely. And let me give you one example that what we've done at the Adecco group. Okay, we have implemented AI agents in the core process of what we do. 2/3 of what we do is recruitment. We recruit permanently for our clients. We also do flexible placement on behalf of our clients. Okay, we do all that. So recruitment represents 2/3 of what we do. And you hear a lot of things, in the market saying, "Oh, now recruitment can be done with agents and and full AI." Okay. So what we've done with our recruiters, we told them, we'll not replace you with AI. We're going to augment you, and we've taken the time to be with them and to map the processes in all the details, all the complexity of a recruitment process in so many dimensions that you can imagine. And then we have co-designed with them where agents could be most effective and where the human side of recruitment was fundamental. And when you do something like this, you bring people along, right? And then, after we've implemented these agents, what have we seen? We have seen that actually they enjoy the work more, because some of the mundane tasks that they had to do are now taken care of pretty nicely, by the way, by agents, and then they can concentrate on the sort of human-to-human connection, which they love to have, and where humans are quite unique. So I think what matters here is this co-design of how you implement AI. It also requires a deep understanding on how processes are live in the organization. Let's be clear, if you put agents on messy processes,
Mm.
not going to work. Okay, so you have to have your processes in order. You have to have the people understanding where the highest human added value is, and then you can have scale successfully AI in the company.
That's a fantastic example, because you're seeing how it's not a matter of top-down leadership. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're implementing AI. It's a matter of that collaborative effort and understanding exactly where the teams would see the most benefit, the most value, mapping out their workflow. Only they know their workflow, as you know, but even better than you as a leader. So
of course,
those conversations, mapping out with them, I can see that it gives them greater value than saying, this is what we're going to be doing, and they have no input or say in it. Going back to what you mentioned about AI agents, I'm curious to know, what do you feel is the biggest opportunity for AI agents in 2026?
I think there are many opportunities that will arise, and again, we have concentrated the way we scale agents to the front line, to the interactions with our clients, the interaction with the candidates that reach out to us. And I would urge companies to think about how you redesign your processes that best serve your clients. And because it also gives a sense, we are talking about trust and meaning and purpose. You engage people when they understand their added value, when they understand the ultimate value creation they have for their clients. And so when you do that in a way that you say AI is going to help you be better with your clients, putting agents close to the workforce that is in direct contact with the clients is I think the biggest opportunity. And across, of course, there's also other things that can be done in the back office, in support functions, for cash collection, for some of the HR processes. And most companies have started by that. We've taken a different approach because that approach, I believe, brings purpose, because that's how you demonstrate that you really augment people. And when people feel that they are augmented, they can do a better job to serve the client, which is their ultimate purpose. Then you create positive momentum. And we've seen that with our recruiters, back to the example I was saying. The first recruiters that have started to work with agents, what has happened? Word of mouth. They talk to their colleagues in different countries and say, well, we love it. This is great. Helps me be better. Helps me deliver better service. And then you create, again, a positive atmosphere. People are willing, say, give me the agents, bring the agents to me, right? And this is a virtuous circle.
Right, I see. One of the things the report mentioned was that the biggest opportunity that the leaders who are surveyed say the biggest opportunity for AI agents is with more like talent development, like helping employees to manage their careers. Would you agree with that as well? Would you say it's more on the augmentation side? Or would you say it's the same thing?
I think, yeah, I mean, it's there's two things here. Yes, I think leadership and management is an art, okay? Yeah, but the way you practice your art can be augmented by AI, by having different kind of conversations. We also have one of the largest digital coaching platform, which is a mix of human coaches and AI coaches. Okay,
Right.
And that mix is helps, help us, support our clients in their own cultural transformation when AI comes in. So this is powerful. Okay? And that's something that I believe is going to really deploy at a massive scale, because you need to bring people along. The one thing which is critical is the investment in upskilling and reskilling, which is absolutely fundamental. And what we see today, what our survey is telling us, is that only 22% of leaders are confident that they are developing enough skills around AI with the workforce, and that's very important. Less than 22%, which is not much, right?
Yeah.
And 31% of leaders are telling us that they have only 31% that they have sufficient skills and knowledge to understand the risk and opportunities of AI. So if the
Wow.
leaders do not fully understand what AI is about and what are the risks and opportunities, how can they bring the workforce to a level of knowledge and 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 proficiency around AI that is required by the enterprise at large?
Mm.
That's a challenge. Huh?
For sure, for sure. I was talking to another executive the other day, and he was saying to me, AI, the AI era, 2026 and beyond, demands a different set of leadership skills altogether. Today's leaders have to adapt to that or just bring in new leaders. So yeah, 100%. One of the things that the survey pointed out, which really stood out to me, was that half of future-ready organizations have a system in place to measure trust. Now, I've never seen that before, where trust, something that's so qualitative, can be tangibly measured. I'm curious to know, what are they doing to measure trust? How are they measuring it, that non-future ready organizations could learn from? Because obviously we know trust is part of AI adoption. So I think this is definitely something that we need to learn from those organizations. How are they measuring trust?
So they measure trust as in a variety of ways, right? But just to highlight what you said, if you want to create adoption, people have to feel confident, right, in the direction of travel. Have to confidence in using these tools, confident that they're not going to be displaced, etc. Right? And so you measure trust as a measurable business driver, not as a soft concept. It's all about tracking engagement, tracking how people are adaptable, tracking well-being, tracking or measuring human capabilities. How people are proficient with AI. It's measuring soft skills such as creativity, strategic thinking, problem solving, capacity to embark into new things. Being learners themselves. And it's true, it requires effort. I mean, you don't measure trust by just a simple survey, or do you trust us or not, right? It's multidimensional. But these kind of surveys really, when it's comprehensive, this kind of measurement, sorry, when it's comprehensive enough, brings so much input to leadership on how they manage their workforce themselves, how their workforce is future ready, and how they can scale their investments that they make in AI efficiently. Because at the end of the day, what we see companies, throwing millions on AI with agents, etc., and all of that, or most of it, sometimes going into smoke because it's not adopted, because people struggle with it. So the investment that you make in all that dimension of creating trust is fundamental, and holding leaders accountable for the human impact of AI is fundamental. This is also a way to create trust. Okay, if the workforce believes that their leaders feel really accountable of what happens to them with that AI revolution, and they demonstrate that they care for them. Again, that they care for AI not to happen to them, but with them, to
Right.
co-design the future of an AI-enabled workforce. Those things are going to create very positive momentum and accelerate adoption and scale.
Thank you. So I think my final question for you, as we wrap this up, would be one of the most, for me, noteworthy findings of this report noted that just under 40% of leaders say they involve employees in job redesign. And you just mentioned that's a critical part of building trust, co-designing, jobs together. But only about 39% of employers or leaders actually do that. So obviously without that, there's no trust. I want to know from you, if you were to look ahead into the next 3 to 5 years and thinking about the future of AI adoption, if organizations stay on that track of not involving their employees in co-designing their jobs, reimagining their work, what would be the hidden danger of keeping their employees out of the loop? How would this impact AI implementation in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think the first one is obviously resistance. Okay, if you feel that you're out of the loop, then you will do everything you can not to accelerate on that path, right? So resistance will make adoption fail.
Yes,
that's one thing. The second thing is, if you redesign jobs without really understanding how work gets done, you have a big streak of missing the point. You redesign jobs in a way that, of course, they make trust, but more fundamentally, that is not delivering the results that you expect, right? Understanding the practical way agents work, for example, agents can interact with humans is fundamental. Throwing agents on messy processes is not going to work. I'm repeating this, right? And to understand the processes, you need to talk to people. You need to understand all the granularity of how the jobs get done. So if you miss that, and if you don't go into that co-design, you risk, having these millions of investment that do not deliver the full efficiency, because humans remain messy as they are, and that's the beauty also of humankind. it's the creativity, the adaptability, it's that humans have, but this does not get along super easily with agents. So resistance and inefficiencies are the two big risks of not moving into this co-design practice when you scale AI and agent.
Sorry. Apologies. I thought you finished it. Say what you were saying.
I said so resistance and inefficiencies are going to be the two roadblocks if you don't properly engage in co-designing the way AI is being deployed and implemented in companies in the future.
100%. Thank you so much for your time, Denis. I think the biggest takeaway from this conversation is that if we want to move ahead in a technology innovation enabled organization, we need to think about strengthening our relationships with our teams and building that trust and working together as opposed to a top-down implementation approach. Really excited about this report. It's been a privilege to discuss the findings of the report with you. And for those of you who've tuned into this podcast, feel free to like this episode, share it with your co-workers, comment, and follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And I'll see you in next week's episode of Work 2.0, the podcast.